and she paid off, was it $112,000 worth of debt?
Yeah, actually, it was 111,722,047 cents. There are some people, right? Let's say, for instance, someone grew up in a household where you may have had holes in your shoes, or you never had your own shoes. You received hand-me-down shoes.
Mhm.
Now we see this person as an adult, and we say, "Oh my God, she has 50,000 pairs of shoes. She spent $1,000 on shoes." And I had to make a decision. Are you going to keep grinding and just pay it off really quickly, or are you going to continue to be consistent? And I decided to continue to be consistent. But once I've done that, when I tell you the peace that I feel now, this is what was missing.
All right, everyone. Well, welcome to another episode of Becoming a Financially Confident Woman podcast. I'm your host, Dr. April Murdaugh, CEO and founder of Woman to Woman Financial, where we help women, executives, business owners, and their families create and grow generational wealth. Today, I'm here with a young lady. This month, if you guys have been following me, this is Financial Literacy Month. So everything that I'm doing really has to do with learning things, learning more about how we can be better with our money. And the topic really this month has been debt. Me personally, I've been on my own debt journey. Student loans are the bane of my existence, and I want them gone. And so I am part of an entrepreneurial community, and I had the pleasure of seeing this young lady's profile in the community and researching her and finding out that she was on Anthony O'Neill's podcast. Now, if any of you know Dave Ramsey and any of you know he's a very smart guy. He has now enlisted some other folks who look like us to kind of carry the message of debt-free living and proper money management. And she was on Anthony O'Neill's podcast. So when I reached out to her, I was like, this girl ain't gonna come on here because she was with the big dogs. And when she said yes, I was like, ooh, I done hit the jackpot. But what's so important about this young lady is that she is a single woman and she paid off, was it $112,000 worth of debt?
Yeah, actually, it was 111,722,047 cents.
Wow.
I just count to 112.
Yeah. Whew. So listen here. So today is the day we're going to learn from her. How in the world did she do that? What was her motivation? So today I want to introduce to you Shakira Drones, and she's out of New Jersey. And I'm so excited to have her on the podcast. So welcome, welcome, welcome to the podcast, Shakira.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you and what you're doing so much for the community. This is so important. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey, listen, you are doing some phenomenal things for the community as well. First, you are like the person when they say you get on the plane and first you put on the mask for you. And so you did that. And
For
now
sure.
you're out there putting masks on for everyone else, helping them to figure out how to get out of debt. So tell us a bit about you and just tell us, how did you get to that point? Like, what was the why for you?
Okay, so actually that journey, even when I think about it, it doesn't weigh heavy, but it still is heavy, right? The journey for me started, and it might sound cliche, but it started for me when I realized that there was a world event going on that was really, really bad, right?
Mhm.
Now, for the most part, when bad things happen, we tend to focus on the bad things, right? But I actually had I had the foresight to see an opportunity, right? I had already been on my debt-free journey, but I wasn't moving the needle. So
Mhm.
what I mean by is I had already been making debt payments, but it wasn't moving the needle. So when COVID hit, you know, a lot of people was not going to work. And I myself took a step back for about a month to assess what the situation is. In case I didn't mention it, I am a nurse. But I took a step back myself to assess what the situation was. And once I did some research, and I realized it was an opportunity because a lot of people was not going to work. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go to work. So I'm a school nurse, and at that time, I actually was a home healthcare nurse also. So I was working both jobs, right?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And by working both jobs, that immediately increased my income. Immediately. And what I was doing as I was working both jobs, I was also working on my mindset. So I'm reading financial literacy books. I'm listening to financial literacy podcasts, and not just listening to them. I'm listening to them, taking notes, right? Because I'm the type of person, I'm not going to just watch a podcast for entertainment. I'm going to watch it to learn. And then I'm going to implement what I learned and assess if it's working for me, right? I'm not just watching, being entertained, right? So I'm on this journey, and I'm dumping pretty much everything that I can at this debt. And the beautiful thing about this is another opportunity. And keep in mind, that's my second time saying that, right? You have to be mindful to watch for opportunities. It might look like a disaster overall, and it was. For a lot of people, it was, right? And in every disaster, there's an opportunity, right? So as I'm paying off this debt, I realized, wait a minute, the interest is at zero. So every payment I'm making is going to the principal, right? Every payment I'm making is going directly to the principal. And I'll tell you a funny story. A friend of mine, my friend and I, we had a conversation, and we said, this is when it first started, when the 0% interest first started for the student loans. We said, you know what? We're not going to pay on it. We're just going to hold the money. And then right before they start the interest, we're going to put it on. She bought a car. She bought a car.
So she couldn't hold her money, huh?
Right. She bought a car. And I just decided I said, you know what? I'm not going to hold it. I'm just going to pay on it. Right. So again, I'm paying on it. I'm seeing the numbers go down. And as it's going down, stress is being relieved, but I'm working a lot, right? And it's important to note, when you're grinding like that, it's important to note that you have a window. That is not sustainable. You have a window. Not sustainable. Spiritually is not sustainable. Mentally is not sustainable. You have a window, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to give myself 1.5 years to grind, right? Again, I was on this journey. I'm being consistent, but grind mode, 1 year. So I get to 20,000. I have 20,000
left.
And I hit a brick wall. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm done. I can't go anymore. Right? And I had to make a decision. Are you going to keep grinding and just pay it off really quickly? Or are you going to continue to be consistent? And I decided to continue to be consistent. Now, there's a funny thing that happens when you're in that type of state of mind. Physically, you may have relaxed a little bit, but mentally, you're still on go, go, go. Because that's how the debt can happen. If you allow it to overtake your thoughts, you know what I mean? I realized, okay, I paid off a significant amount of debt in a short amount of time, but I still don't feel like I thought I would feel.
What did you expect to feel? What do you think you expect?
To feel a 100% relief, and I didn't. What
was the feeling you felt? What was it? Instead of relief, what What did you feel when you paid it off?
Like something is off. Why am I not enjoying this? Why am I not super excited about it? What is that?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to go to therapy because I know that something is off and I need to figure out what that is. So before I went to therapy, I have a certain personality type. So before I went to therapy, I did 3 things. 1, I wrote out a list of the people that hurt me. And I didn't come up with that. I got inspired from I believe his name is Stefan Labossiere. I learned that from him. So I wrote out a list of the people that hurt me. But then I was talking to my aunt, and my aunt said, well, what about the people that you hurt? It can't be lump-sided, right? So then I wrote out a list of the people that I was aware of that I hurt. So then I also wrote out 10 steps, 10 things that I wanted to get out of therapy, right? Keep in mind, this is before my first session, before I talked to anybody, before I met anybody. I said, these are the things that I want to address. And whatever comes up after that, then I'll just address it. So I'm on this journey of paying off debt, but I realized I'm just not experiencing it the way I thought. So I go to therapy and we hit the ground running, right? Because I've spoken to people in therapy and they told me about that first day. It's a little awkward. You don't know. I didn't have that experience because I prepared like ahead of time. So he knew. And I also wanted to mention, I was very intentional about the therapist that I selected because I wanted it to be a man. And I wanted it to be a man because I wanted to work on my relationship with men. That I was very intentional about that, right? And, men are very logical, right? So I had a lot of emotion going on. I needed logic. So that's how Budget and Heal came along, because I realized it's not only about the money. It's a holistic view. You have to look at the way you have to look at things. You have to look at them holistically. It's not about the debt. It's about everything. I made a decision and I refused to negotiate with myself. No matter what, we're paying this off.
So listen, okay, Shakira, wait now. You have said so many powerful things in your statement. The words that I heard over and over again were opportunity, intentionality, and decision. And that is what a lot of people need when it comes to debt elimination. Is they need to be intentional. They need to make a decision and stick with it. And then they need to see what opportunities are out there for them to be able to experience or to do the work that needs to be done to pay it off. Would you say? So tell us, if it wasn't about the money, then, because I think I know in my world and in people maybe listening to this, like, it's just debt. I'm going to get rid of the debt. I'm struggling with this debt. So tell me, when you mean that it's not just about the money, what did that mean for you?
So what I was saying was, even as I was paying off lump sum of the money, it wasn't making me feel better, right? It wasn't making me feel better. That's the internal work. You have to do the internal work. It's not just about the money. So I'll give you another way of looking at it. Let's say, for example, someone has debt, an extensive amount of debt, and they pay it off. If you don't do your internal work, you're going to find yourself back in debt because you didn't do the work. How did you get? What was that? What triggered you to spend money in that way? You know what I mean? So when it's not only about the money, of course I'm grateful and happy that I'm able to pay off the debt. But if it was only about the debt, I would have felt I would have felt great. Who wouldn't feel great? That's something I don't even know anyone else who's done something like that.
Right.
But internally, I was suppressing so many things for so long. And it was like once I sat down, I wasn't on that hamster wheel of life anymore. Once I sat down, everything came to the surface. Although I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What you saying?
Although I was unable to identify it, now I can articulate it to you. It was things that I had suppressed. They just started coming up. Childhood memories, relationship experiences, a variety of things that I had suppressed. And that's what I mean by this stuff is all interconnected. They're not separate. They're not separate. They're all interconnected.
And
your
it's
relationship, right? Your relationship with money, your relationship with people, it is all interconnected. And that's the awareness that I want to bring forth, because we look at it in isolation and it's not.
Mm-hmm. So basically doing the work or paying the debt off requires you to do the work, internal work, psychological work, so that you don't end up in the same spot again. And, a lot of people don't realize that their behaviors have a lot to do with their upbringing and their life experiences.
Exactly.
And, sometimes people get into debt because shopping is therapy for them. That is how they cope with maybe some of the challenges of life, the traumas that they may have experienced. It gives them this temporary relief. Sometimes they deal with codependent issues. And so, they're people pleasers and they want to take care of everybody, even if it's at their own financial expense. And so,
for sure,
those are issues and traumatic experiences and just psychological things that we need to deal with. I am so proud of you for understanding the link between the two and dealing with it, because I know for me, I was just myself focused on, I want to pay this off. I got to get out of this debt. I got to get out of this debt. But there's a reason why I'm in the debt. And it's not always because, yes, I spent the money, I did it, right? I mean, I'm not trying to, I did it. I swiped the card. I took out the loan, yada, yada, yada. But you're so right. It is definitely so much more bigger than that.
So, it is. I'll give you another example. There are some people, right? Let's say, for instance, someone grew up in a household where you may have had holes in your shoes, or you never had your own shoes. You received hand-me-down shoes. Mm-hmm. Now we see this person as an adult, and we say, oh my God, she has 50,000 pairs of shoes. She spent $1,000 on shoes. We're looking at it from that lens. We're not realizing that's from childhood. That's why she does that with her shoes, whether it's sneakers, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it is all interconnected, and it's so important that we look at it in that way, because once you begin to unpack your childhood, once you begin to unpack things that you have suppressed, it's like you're giving yourself an opportunity to be who you always were supposed to be before all of the other stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And your relationship with money changes. You're no longer in survival mode. You're no longer people pleasing. You're really it's so important to do that internal work. And I mean, it was tough. I'm sitting here now on the other side, but let me tell you, it was tough. There's a reason why we suppress things. We don't want to deal with them, you know? But once I've done that, when I tell you the peace that I feel now, this is what was missing when I was paying off debt. It was peace. I didn't have that, right? You would think I didn't have peace. I did not have peace until after therapy. And I want to be clear, because I don't want people to think that therapy is just a peaceful place.
Right.
Initially, when I started therapy, it was rough emotionally. I cried a lot. I cried a lot. But again, when I was on my debt-free journey, I'm working on my mindset. I'm reading books about financial literacy. When I'm in therapy, I'm working on my mindset. I'm reading books about doing your internal work. So it's like you want to stack. You want to stack wherever you are. I call it stacking, right? So if you're on your debt-free journey, stack it. Learn how to pay off debt. Learn different debt payoff strategies, but also read. Read, right? You're going to therapy, go to therapy, but also read about how you can help yourself internally, because it's not only up to your therapist. A big part of that, most of that is on you. They're there to guide you, to hold you accountable, right? But a big part of that is on you. So I would definitely say stack wherever you are, stack it. Whatever journey you're paying off debt, go deep dive in it. Watch the podcast, read the books, take notes while you're watching podcasts. Don't sit by passively. Be a learner. Like, this is the new college. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You want it, but don't just take notes. You want to implement what you learn. Try it. See if it works. Is it working? It's not working for you? Okay, shelf that. Try something different. Don't be afraid to try. You have to step outside of your comfort zone. You're not going to grow in comfort. You're not there.
So tell me, how did you come to realize, like, what I know you said, okay, I didn't feel right. I had, I was kicking this debts behind. I didn't have the joy that I felt. What do you think that was in you to be so intentional about approaching therapy with some objectives in mind? Like, this is what I want to achieve. These are the things I need to do. This is the type of therapeutic relationship I need to have. Like, that takes a lot of internal work. It takes EQ, emotional intelligence, to really see yourself outside of yourself. So
yeah,
what was that did that for you? How did that come to be?
I was by myself a lot. That's another thing. Sometimes when we're around people all the time, you don't have a chance to really think, to really sit yourself, to really see how you really feeling. I know when people say, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm good. I'm good. No. How do you really feel, right? But I was a lot of time by myself, and for the first time in my life, I just was very blatantly honest with myself. And I said, "Shakira, you tried everything else. You tried to do it on your own. You tried talking to your friends. You tried this, you tried that. It didn't work. Try something different." And because I was watching the podcast, reading the books, I was learning, oh, this is what I should, when I go to therapy, I should be intentional. I should know what I want. I can't expect the therapist to know what I want. Oh, okay. So now I have to sit down and write this thing out. What do I want my life to look like when this is all over? What do I know? I might not know everything, but what am I aware of that I want to work on? Okay, I know that I'm having this strife with my father often, right? I know that I'm having the same relationships over and over with different people. Okay, I know that I want to work on my relationship with men. Let's start there. How can I do that? Male therapist. Let's get a male therapist. If you want to work in your relationship with men, why would you get a female therapist? Right? Right? By having a male therapist, you're in a therapeutic relationship with someone, right? That's holding you accountable to the things that you say you want. That relationship is over. Now you're accustomed to being in a healthy relationship with a man. You're accustomed to him
to being vulnerable. Now you're being vulnerable with a man, which is something, yes.
Yes. So you have to be very intentional, whether you're getting out of debt, you're going to therapy, you have to be very intentional, because I'm going to tell you this, you can wander into debt, but you cannot wander out.
Hey, say it again. You can wander into, say it again.
You can wander into debt, but you cannot wander out.
Mm.
You can go through your life suppressing things, but it is very difficult for you to be like, okay, I want to address it right now. No. This is all of this is a process, and in this process, I want people to know that God is always there. Mm-hmm. So if you're scared to start, He's there waiting for you. Mm-hmm. He's there. Mm-hmm. I feel when I felt fear and nervousness, I feel it in my stomach, right? I feel the stress in my stomach. I cannot tell you how many days I cried, how stressed I was. And I would just talk to God. I would just talk to God. I created a prayer closet in my room. You have to be able to see, it's important to be able to shut the world out at certain times every day. At certain times, you have to shut the world out. Listen, what is God saying to you? What is your life trying to tell you? You're so busy being there for everyone else. You're so busy on that hamster wheel. You don't even have the ability to pay attention to what's happening. And you're going further and further in this process. And you're operating on autopilot. Take a second, take a step back. See what is happening. Take action. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have any of the answers, but take action.
So let me ask you, what do you say to somebody? So of course, therapy is an investment financially, right? And so what do you say to somebody that is on that journey, but now has to invest or, spend money for therapy when, the excuse could be, and I'll be honest, I would probably be that person like, well, no, I need to take the money and pay the debt off, right?
That was me too.
Like, why would I pay, $200 a week for this when I can take that $200 and put it on my debt? So tell me, like, what would you say to somebody that thinks like me?
That was me too. I felt the exact same way, right? But here's the thing. Have you ever heard the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears?
Will appear. Yes.
Right? Okay. So now I'm ready. I finally got the courage to go to therapy. Okay, now I'm ready. I'm nervous. I feel it in my stomach. But I'm ready. How about I find a company called Open Path? OPEN, one word, Path, PATH. They go by your income.
Shut the front door.
They go by it. I was paying $40 every week. $40. Yes.
Oh.
$40.
So y'all hear that out there? For 3 Starbucks coffees, you can get the therapy you need in conjunction with applying the principles regarding debt elimination to walk out of debt being completely whole financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, for 40 bones. No, my therapist is not $40. But that is amazing. And so you out there hear that you out there hearing this, that you can get access to the kind of healing that you need. And, Shakira and I, we had a conversation before we got, recorded this. We had a conversation last week, and, I'm on that healing journey of myself, trying to, address some things that I now need to come to terms with. And I read a book by Dr. Anita Phillips called The Garden Within. And one of the things she was talking about in there was like 3 types of relationships. The one with yourself, in the relationship category, was one with you, one with your friends and family, and then one with God. And then your legacy and what you were going to be leaving to the community. And then the other was, it was legacy, community. Oh, I can't remember the other one. But anyway, I've started reading the book after I saw her on a podcast and realized that I did not have a good relationship with myself. I could nurture a relationship with other people. But with April, I didn't have a good relationship. So while I am getting out of debt, now I had no idea that, like Shakira did, you were way smarter than me, right? Even though I have a doctorate, you were way smarter than me in terms of linking the two. I do realize that the way you handle money is, behaviors and learn patterns and things like that and experiences. But I just, I'm like, I'm good with money. I do this stuff right. And I had no idea that my relationship with me was completely, completely off. That I was such a people pleaser and doing things at my own expense and developing codependent relationships when it came to money. And so a lot, and I tell you, like you said, when you start that journey, I can't tell you, I cried for a whole weekend. I
Yep.
couldn't even go to church. I just stayed home and I cried Friday. I cried Saturday, Sunday.
I
And then I
get it.
journaled. And then I did what you said. I said, okay, I'm ready for therapy because I felt like you go to therapy, people go to therapy, and it's like, I just need somebody to talk to. And I'm like, yo, I talk to a lot of people. I need somebody to help me to deal with this here foolishness. I
For
didn't
sure.
link it to money. It was really more about getting whole for myself. So like I said, I applaud you because you recognize the connection and you were intentional. And I was too. So when I met with my therapist the first time, and we just had our first meeting last week, and I literally wrote out and sent it over to her saying, okay, this is the book I'm reading. These are the things I'm thinking. And this is these are my objectives. These are my issues. These are my objectives. I need somebody that's going to be blah, 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 blah. And I need this, and this. And so when
Yeah.
she said, April, you came here and I know you're ready. She said, I can tell. She said, because I guess she got this big email, from me of what I needed, because you're right. Money does not solve the issue. It masks them.
There
And
you go.
I tell people all the time, money will cover a multitude of sins. So you got some money, yeah, you can get shoes, you can do the things. It looks like you're doing well, but have you really dealt with you?
And you know something that we don't mention often also? We forget this isn't even our money.
Thank that part. Yes. Yes. We're stewards over it.
This isn't even our
Yes.
money. And yeah, we have to, and this is what I mean. And I tell people all the time, I worked 2 jobs for over 10 years. Once I made the decision to get out of debt and to work my spirit, I feel like I don't even work.
Wow.
I work as a school nurse and I am a financial coach. Neither one of them feel like work to me. Neither one of them feel like work. I've made the most money I've made thus far working less.
Amen.
That's something I had believed if I had not gone through it. And I'm here to tell women, we can take the cape off. We can take the cape off and do this in a way that still allows us to maintain our femininity, to maintain our relationships with our family, ourselves, with God, with the community. We can do all of these things in our natural divine essence. We do not have to stay on that hamster wheel. We can get off. Now, you got to take some steps to get there. It is a journey. It is a process, but you can get there and it's worth it. I am the happiest I have been in my life thus far. This is my first few years of experiencing peace since I was a child. I didn't know I was this. I didn't know that. Everyone around me has the same characteristics. Everyone works hard. What's different? Why would I notice? Why would I think something was different? Everyone has a car note. Everyone has student loan. Everyone has credit card debt. Why would I think something's different? I had no idea I was in survival mode until I got into therapy, and I said, "What?
Wow.
What? Yeah."
Mm. So tell us.
If there's hope, that's all I say that. If
No,
there's hope for
girl.
me,
I see it all in you. I see the joy and I see the peace. Anybody watching this on YouTube when it airs, I see the joy, the passion, the excitement, and the peace that you have. And it's not just from being debt free. It
for
is
sure.
because you did the work. And I walk with a friend during the day in the mornings, and we talk about that. And I'm like, everybody keeps saying therapy, you got to do the work. I've been in therapy for most of my adult life on and on. I'm like, what kind of work are you doing? Because either I'm not hitting something right. And then realizing that I needed to be very intentional and not passive about therapy, going and talking and telling the story, and then either getting somebody to say, agree with me, or I've had therapists that are like, oh, you're so strong. You're a strong Black woman. You have been through so much. Oh my gosh. And you did all these things. And I'm like, yeah. I wasn't hitting it. And so you're right. Those three words that I said in the beginning, intentionality, decision, and opportunities, those words permeate throughout your whole story. And you walked into this thing intentional. You looked around and said, what opportunities do I have out here to be able to do this? And then you said, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to watch my friend go ahead and buy a car with her money, but I'm going to pay mine. So
and to be honest, everybody's happy. And here's the thing too. Sometimes you might make a pact with your friend, but maybe your friend's situation changed. Maybe your friend feel like, you know what? I'd rather go with debt forgiveness. She's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You're not wrong for choosing the path you chose. But the thing is, you want to make sure what's my best option, what's best for me. Because I would listen, I had my car for like 11 years. I would love a new car. I don't want the car note. I don't want the car note, but I love a new car. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And what I really want women to know is to start, don't look at the debt as a chain that has you weighed down. Look at it as an opportunity for you to completely shift your life. You know what I mean? Look into different programs. See what programs are out there for you. So, for example, if you work in a community, right? See if you qualify for loan forgiveness, right? Go to different churches. Different churches have scholarships and things like that. So, I mean, there's so many things that you can do outside of, and that's why I didn't really hone in on, oh, I use the debt snowball and I use that. You can figure that part out. You can figure that part out, but you have to get that mental block out. Because I'm gonna tell you something. I could not. Don't laugh at me. I'm being completely transparent.
You're fine. If anybody on here listening, this better not be laughing at my friend. Go ahead.
When I was in survival mode, prior to me getting aggressive with my debt-free journey, I could not for the life of me differentiate between the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. I had a block. I legit had a block. I could not get it. It sounded the same. Yeah. And that's a microcosm of my perspective on life. If I couldn't grasp that concept, the difference between the debt snowball and the debt avalanche, that tells you my headspace. You know what I mean? And that's why when my clients come in, I'm going to be honest, they don't like the personal development work at first, because I have them writing letters to themselves. We go through it. Sometimes they come in crying. We cry. But it's important for me to be honest with you. I know if I just show you how to pay off the debt, you're going to be back there if you don't do the inner work. We got to figure out, like, I had conversations with people, not necessarily my client, but when you're in this field, people talk to you, right? And I mean, conversations where children have experienced, that are adults now, have experienced extreme poverty. Extreme poverty. We gotta go there. But that's why I always send them the link. Here's the link to therapy, because you're gonna need it, especially if you haven't done that work yet. You're gonna come to a point where you see, the way you grew up influence your relationship with money, and now you don't like it, right? Where you are right now, so you want to change that. And another important thing, although I'm a nurse, I'm not a therapist. I'm a coach, but I'm not a therapist. It's important for me to know what I can handle, what my scope of practice is, and what's out of my scope. And that's have that openpath.org link on standby, because I know they're going to need it.
So tell us about your process. So your company is Budget and Heal. So yes. So tell us about that, because I struggle, and I know a lot of people out there listening may struggle with the whole budgeting. Budgeting has a negative connotation a lot of times because of our relationship to money and experiences. Especially, a lot of people say, oh God, I got to get on a budget. And that means I'm broke. I don't overspent. Now I got to bring my own lunch, as opposed to, you know what I'm saying? So tell us about Budget and Heal, and how do you do that? Especially, the practical side of the work that you're doing.
Okay. So like you said, the name of my business is called Budget and Heal. And I help women to get out of debt and out of survival mode through 3 core pillars: financial literacy, personal development, and accountability, right? So what that looks like is, yes, I teach them how to get out of debt, but I also help them to focus on doing their inner work, right? And I mesh the two, so that by the time they come out of my program, they're whole. They're working on that. They're more holistic, right? It's not just about the debt. As it pertains to budgeting, I think that we were sold a bag of a bad deal in regards to looking at budgeting in a negative way, because a budget is nothing more than you aligning your spending with your goals. That's all a budget. If you don't have any goals, you go spend what you want. If you have goals, you're going to make sure you're automating those goals. So for example, I just came off a vacation. I met you when I was in Turks, right?
Yep.
I just came off a vacation. I have a vacation sinking fund, right? Every month I add money to that vacation sinking fund. So that means the money that's going there, I'd rather allocate that money there than buy shoes with it. That's just my preference. Someone else maybe prefer to buy shoes and not go on vacation, right? But keep in mind, it wasn't always like that. I haven't been on, prior to my recent vacation 2 weeks ago, I didn't go on vacation for like 5-6 years. I had my head down doing the work. So when I went to Turks and Caicos, I almost cried. I didn't want to come back. Right? Right? Yep. And I say that because I also have a birthday sinking fund, right? Every month I add money to my birthday sinking fund automatically. And that's just, okay, we know our birthday's coming up every year. There's no surprise. We know this, right? You know you're going to want to do something. Create the sinking fund for it. Take money out of your paychecks every month for your birthday, for vacation. That's a budget. But guess what? It doesn't feel like a budget when you're out of the country on vacation, chilling. All your bills are paid, right? And when you come back, the money for vacation is still being allocated for the next one. You know what I mean? To realize that a budget is not negative. A budget is nothing more than you aligning your spending habits with your goals. I think that in certain people have made it sound, has shown us that a budget is something negative, so we don't want to tackle it. But they know that's why they're moving the way they're moving. Budget is not a bad thing. You have to be intentional with this money. If you can't manage $100, you won't be able to manage 100,000. That's just law. That's law. So even if you're not making a lot of money, you have to learn how to manage that. So you can manage more.
That's true. That's true. You can't be entrusted with more. So yeah, that is good. So it's just aligning your spending with your goals.
Yeah, that's it.
That is a good way to explain it. And so now it's then about going back and saying, what is my why? What are my goals? What are the things that I want to do? What do I want my birthday to look like? Do I want to be a vacation birthday girl, or is Christmas my thing? And aligning your spending with, with your goals.
Now remember the sinking fund. Remember the Christmas clubs?
Yeah, I remember.
Fun. It's the same concept. It's the same exact thing. So I tell my clients, start your Christmas sinking fund in January. When December comes, you have the money. You won't miss a beat. You won't miss a beat. And another thing that I want to mention, it won't happen right away, but as you're going through your journey and you really begin to like automate your money, you want to get to a point where your budget is pretty much automated. So like you guys heard me talk about my vacation sinking fund, my birthday sinking fund, my Roth IRA, that's automated, right? My 403b, that's everything is automated. So what's left is yours. You know, the budget is not a bad thing. It's just that as you're climbing out of debt, it gets easier. But initially it is tough, but it gets easier. It gets easier.
No, that's good stuff. So yeah, I have different accounts for different purposes. And so I'll throw money in those accounts, and put them in there for certain things. Now, I will say, when you and I talked a couple weeks ago, you inspired me. I have my own business, as you know, and but I was a college professor full time before I did this business, before I quit and started my practice. And so I have student loan debt. I have my doctorate. I have student loan debt. So I saw a posting for a faculty position, 4 classes a semester, just 2 semesters, teaching what I love. I love business, entrepreneurship, financial plan, all of that. I love it. So I applied. I was like, you know what? This is going to go towards Navient.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get rid of Navient, but I also have some other goals and things I want to do, but definitely like a big chunk. And so I just applied for it, and I have a interview on the 1st of May.
Congratulations.
And so a friend of mine was like, April, you're going to add that. Now my firm is expanding, I probably, getting a couple people that may be working, for me and everything. But I'm like, it's fine. I can teach 4 classes a semester, and my, with one eye closed, standing on a foot, so it's not so bad. And I love it. I'm in the classroom. I can impact lives again, but it is going towards my therapy bill, which is not $40, and and my Navient bill, and some credit cards that I have that I'm just like determined I want to not have them. So I will say you did inspire me to start looking around for opportunity.
Yes. Thank you so.
I'm a grinder now. So I've worked 2 and 3 jobs, I can hustle my butt off, but I do think that everything you're saying is so apropos. We can work hard. I think the Black woman has been labeled as, hardworking and smart, and all the other negative connotations sometimes that come with that. go-getters and blah, blah, blah. But by the same token, using that and flipping that and doing the work that we need to do, our inner work, we can live life that is free from debt, that you don't have that ball and chain on
Yeah.
you. And so I am on that. And now my objective is that in 27, I will be. And then look, let me tell you another thing you did, because you sent me your stuff, is opportunity. So I was driving home, and my business has an opportunity to be in the city and get some potential grants and contracts and that sort of thing. So it's really great. And I'm driving home, and I live like 40 minutes from where, the Jacksonville is. I live out on the outskirts, 40 minutes. I've lived in my house going on 10 years. My kids are grown and gone. And I'm like, why do I have this house? I'm gonna sell my house. So I put my house up for sale. I'm gonna sell my house. And I'm like, if it sells before the summer, I'm debt free.
Okay.
Completely. So
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I'll do that. I'll teach, those
Okay.
are opportunities that I'm going to take advantage of. And then it's just me. I'll get me a 2-bedroom. That way I can have a room to record and meet people like you. And also just live, no maintenance, no problem, just completely out of debt. So even though I think about and I dream about it, I agree with you. Doing the inner work to heal you, the way you spend money, the way you deal with money, the way you think about money, all of
Yes.
that has to happen, or the practical side, it just won't work. And I've seen people come to me that have filed bankruptcy 1 and 2 times. And,
Yeah.
I've seen that happen because, they get right back, or they do a debt consolidation only to do it again.
Yeah. And that's why, right. And listen, I get it. Personal development is not the most fun thing, because you have to look at yourself and you
Mhm.
have to be honest with yourself. But it is so rewarding. And it's like things that you've been trying to do for a decade can get done in a year now, because you don't have those mental blocks no more. And then certain things just begin to line up for you. Like even with us meeting,
Yep.
things begin to line up for you. But you have to take that step to show that God, okay, God, I don't know how this is gonna go, but I'm gonna take this step. I'm gonna
Mhm.
take this step, because I know you're there already. So I'm gonna take this step.
Yeah. 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 Well, I tell you, you know what, lady? I'm from New York, and I have got to make my way up there, because when I make my way up there, you and I,
You
we
better.
we got to hook up,
For,
because
for sure.
you are just like, you're like, I love you, and I haven't even met you, but I just love your story. I love your energy. I
Thank
love
you.
your passion. I love your vulnerability and transparency. But I have a lot of respect for you, because you did the work,
Thank
not
you for
just the debt elimination work, but you did the internal hard work to get to
Mhm.
a place now, not just debt free, but you are free.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everyone, I know anyone listening to this podcast would want to be free,
For
free
sure.
in every area as possible. Now, I'm sure things come up. We're human beings, lives, but at the end of the day, you have peace with yourself, and
Yep.
that is what matters. And so I'm so proud of you. I'm so
You.
glad that we connected. And I tell you, like I said, you inspired me, because I may be
Thank
teaching in the fall, a couple classes here and there, and Navient is getting kicked in the butt while I
See?
spend all this money on my therapy. I even
Okay.
hired a coach. I hired
Okay.
an executive coach. So I want somebody deal with my business, someone deal with my mental.
Yep. Yep.
So it is, yes,
Yeah.
you inspired me.
100%. I love that you have a plan, right? And it's always good to plan for the money before it comes in.
Yes.
It's always good to plan for the money.
Yep, before it shows up. And that is
Or
so true, because then you get it and you're like winging it instead
yeah,
of having a plan.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But
So what do you now? I know I don't know if you've heard like zero-based budgeting. How do you feel about that?
I love it. I'm not gonna lie, I use different types of budget. I
Mhm.
like zero-based budget. I
Mhm.
like my favorite is the reverse budget. And the reverse budget is simply you paying yourself first. That's all that is. That's my favorite.
Mm. So how do you have percentages that you suggest people pay themselves? Like if the reverse budget is the best, how do you, implement
That,
that?
that that's the individual thing. I'll say for me, when I was on my debt-free journey, I wasn't saving any money. Don't do as I did. I didn't save any money. I stopped when I began to read, when I was reading the different books, and every book said you need to have an emergency fund. You need to have an emergency. Then I stopped. I saved $20,000, and then I got back to it. So I was just paying. When I say stop, I mean I stopped paying the debt aggressively.
Mm-hmm.
I aggressively saved the money for my emergency fund while paying the minimum on the debts.
Mm-hmm.
Once I hit 20,000 in my emergency fund, I went back to aggressively paying off the debt. Now,
Wow.
a lot of people can't do that because that's tough. It's like, oh, I see all this money, but you again, having that plan for the money
Mm-hmm.
is important, right? So I want to say I saved my emergency fund probably halfway through my debt-free journey. It wasn't right away. It wasn't, because I was like everybody else. I want to get rid of it. I just want to get rid
Right.
of it.
Right.
If I would have had an emergency,
Then you would have been in trouble. You would have had to go right back to using the debt.
I would have been in trouble. And that's why I tell people all the time, you have choice, you have free will, but I would suggest either you doing them both at the same time, right? You save money for your emergency fund and pay off debt,
Mm-hmm.
or you focus on hitting a certain number for your emergency fund as insurance so that you can sustain your debt-free journey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm one of the people, I rather do them both at the same time. And what I did was I created benchmarks. So for example, let's just say I had 20 debts. Okay, once I get to 15, I'm gonna increase my emergency fund some more.
Mm.
And I'll pay the minimum on the debt. Then
Mm-hmm.
once I get to, let's say, 10, I'll increase the emergency fund some more. So you're tracking both things. You're just setting benchmarks to increase them incrementally, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's good for someone who doesn't have an accountability partner. The
Mm-hmm.
benchmarks are really helpful if you do not have an accountability partner, because it helps you to stay accountable to yourself. And like
Mm-hmm.
I always say, I know it's tough. I remember walking down the street, seeing families eat dinner. I hadn't been to a restaurant. It was tough. I get it. But don't forget, that was 3 years out of my entire life. That's not a long time. And whether it's 3 years or 10 years, it's not a long time out of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Just buckle down, do it, because you don't want to wait till you're 70, right? You don't want to wait till you're 65. You want to do it now while you have the resources, the energy, the health. Do it now. It is urgent. It is urgent because we're getting older.
Yeah.
Right? How many times do we go to these shopping centers and we see older women there? You think they want to be there? They want to be home with their family.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So just
Yeah.
giving yourself that last grind to
Yeah.
get out of survival mode is so important. And like I said, it will not take you that long. I don't care if it takes you 10 years. It's only 10 years out of your life.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Exactly. And I mean, at some point, we did kind of create the situation, not to leave you, condemn you, but and it may be quick to get in it, but it may take a little more time to get out. It's just like
For sure.
weight loss or anything else. So
Yep.
yeah, that is so key. Oh my gosh. So how can I order one of those t-shirts? I guess I got to go through your program. I'm gonna have to go through your program so I can get, because I love the shirt. I am loving it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love it, love it.
I got you. I got you.
Oh my goodness. Well, I would tell you this, sis. You have inspired me.
Thank you.
I am even inside now. I'm going to read my book when I get off.
Wait, what's
I
the book again? Give us the name of the book again.
Oh, The Garden Within by Dr. Anita Phillips. I'm listening to that book. And now I'm like, okay, I ordered another one. I think it's called Homecoming, and then it's another one by a therapist called Why Am I Like This?
Okay.
And so, and it
Oh,
deals with,
I got another one for you.
what you got? What you got?
I just finished reading it maybe 2 weeks ago. Break the Cycle. Oh
Okay.
my.
Break the
She's
cycle.
she's a clinical psychologist, and I want to say she's from DR, but she was raised in North New Jersey.
Mm.
When I tell you, this is one of those, again, openpath.org. I have no affiliations with them, but I'm telling you, because as you're reading these books, guys, certain things and emotions might come up for you. So I want you to have that link on speed dial.
Mm-hmm.
It was deep. That
Really?
book was deep. And she talked about but what I really liked about the book, she talked about intergenerational trauma, and she also gave you ways to heal. She didn't just talk about it. She a variety of exercises for you to heal, right? So even if you can't afford a therapist right now, she goes over ways to heal. And it was, she speaks of a trauma tree, and where you're able to write down like who impacted you, how it impacted you, what seeds did that put in you. Oh my God, it is so deep. And I think you're on that journey, you should read it. But I
got it.
I also feel like people who have not started the therapeutic journey should set up the therapy sessions, because those books can bring up things that you don't know how to manage yet. That's important.
So true. You are so right, because I had never, like, I read a lot of books about practical stuff, how to be successful in business and how to do blah, blah, blah. But I haven't read anything except for like the psychology of money, understanding, why people make the financial decisions that they make. And in my field too, we study like behaviors, money behaviors and all that. But I had never really broached a book or read a book that dealt with some of the psychology, the trauma. And like I said, I promise you, I spent 3 freaking days crying. Yeah. And so that's when I knew, okay, I need to get some help. I need to tell somebody, because this don't feel right. Like, I need to process this. Yes. So you're absolutely right. You need to get a therapist. If you are struggling with debt and you want to get out, you've been trying and trying, you like she said, you got to deal with some of the issues, the internal issues. Get on I wish I knew about Open Path before I
listen. And what I love about them too, like they do go by your income. Mm-hmm. And if you have a low income, I mean, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I promise you, if you was to say to me, Shakira, which one feels better, being debt free or going through the therapeutic process, I would definitely say going through therapy, because if I would have went through therapy earlier, I would have known how to handle the debt. I would have known how to handle that without, that survival part of it. Yeah. I didn't work as hard as I did. And then I was working so hard, but I still couldn't move the needle because mentally I was blocked. So it's like, you just on it. You just
doing it, and nothing is moving. You're on this hamster wheel, and the interest is not getting eaten up. Nothing is decreasing. Your balance goes down $5. Yeah. You like, what the
Time,
hell?
I was so pissed. I'm on my birthday. It's my birthday one year, right? I'm trying to be responsible. I said I'm gonna pay the debt, right? This is before this. Remember, I told you I was paying the debt, but I wasn't moving the needle.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is right before COVID. Right, my birthday is in January.
Mm-hmm.
COVID happened in March.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I made a payment. The whole $300 went to interest. I was on my birthday, man. Come on,
Girl, look.
come on. But here's the thing that I know now. Now I know. Okay, if you have debt, you need to know how much interest are you being charged daily. Learn how to calculate that so that when you go to pay that minimum payment, if that's what you're going to pay, you're adding that daily interest rate so that you can move it a little bit. I didn't know that then, right? I was so busy working so much, I wasn't studying. I was reading, but I'm talking about the beginning. At the beginning, I didn't know that, right?
Yeah.
Learn how much your daily interest is. If you want to do the debt snowball, do the debt snowball. But sometimes, even doing the debt snowball, you might fall into the debt avalanche just how things are lined up.
Yep.
Learn about refinancing. Do you have good credit? You have good credit. You want to do a zero balance transfer? That might work for you. Just understand.
You got to pay it off in that time frame.
That time frame, or they're gonna get you.
That interest is coming for you.
Right. So there's a variety of strategies. Look at your strategy to increase your income. That's a strategy. Work with what you have. Work with what you have. The resources you have. You have a doctorate. You have your doctorate.
I think we lost her again. Okay, say it again. You're going out.
You're working with the resources that you have.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how. But
yeah, I tell people all the time, use resources that you have.
No, I agree with you there. It's just that I've in my life worked so much and done so many things, I haven't moved the needle. And that is like the frustrating part too sometimes, or I will, like I've gotten it completely out and then I have student loans that are looking at me. So you're right. I mean, there are many ways to do things. I chose to, I'm going to sell my house. That way I will fund my emergency fund like I want. I will use it to, get out of debt. And then I will, just do my teaching part-time while I can just again solidify some more for me and get debt free. I'm going to be a grandmother, so I want to be able to be a blessing in that regard. And I just want to be, hey, if my daughter and her family needs help, and I can do it without jeopardizing myself, but also I want to live my life and I want to enjoy my life too. So I got your email. And honestly, I've been just really digging through how in the world am I gonna, my planning. And so I have not forgotten. You and I need to definitely connect. So, my gosh, you are so rich. Like you are rich. You are rich. You are a rich woman.
Let me tell you something. I have never been this transparent prior to my journey. You couldn't, I'm not doing that. I'm not telling nobody my business. But you know what I realized? I wish somebody would have said something. It was people that I saw that looked like me that inspired me. I can do that. She had more of that than I had. I can do this. She looked just like me.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So I feel like the things that we go through sometimes it's not about you. It's not about you. You are the vessel. It happened to you, but it's not about you. And you have to use your experiences to help to bring other people through. Exactly. So I'm not shy in that way anymore. But prior, I would have never.
Well, I'm glad you went through. Sometimes your pain, right, is everybody else's blessing. I'm
For
glad
sure.
you went through it because you are sharing it with us and with me and with the people that are listening and the people you are helping through Budget and
Yeah.
Heal. So I know it sounds bad, but I'm glad you had the pain because now you got purpose and you helping us out, man. Listen. Just because I do the work that I do does not mean that I don't need help in this area, especially when it comes to the debt and really just getting after it.
Yeah.
I'm not as young as you are, and so I want my whole life. And for me, and there are women out there like myself. For the last 16 years, I was a single parent, and so
Okay.
I had it was like two jobs in a hustle and this and that, all the things that I could do to make it happen. And so now I'm at a point in my life where they're all grown and I'm like, wait a minute, I miss so much. And
Yeah.
so people like you, Anthony O'Neill, other folks that I listen to and watch inspire me. So thank you so much for taking your pain, making it public, sharing your journey, and then creating a business. So, y'all, listen, y'all out there, I don't do the work that she does. My work is not that. My work is vastly different. So, I say to you, get with her. If you need to get out of debt, sure, I help you, but I do more practical stuff. If you need to get out of debt, and you
Out of,
heard this young lady got, huh?
out of debt and out of survival mode.
Out of debt and out of survival mode. That was my MO. Like survival mode has been my life. And so now you want to get out of debt, you want to get out of survival mode, you want an accountability partner who has been there. It's
Yeah.
not enough for somebody to tell you about something that hasn't experienced it.
Mhm.
She's done
For
it
sure.
and she's living it. So
Yep.
I'm gonna put her information in the show notes. I want y'all to reach out
Yep.
to her and do whatever she says. I know she has a process for connecting with people. Do that, connect with her, and get on your healing journey. Get
Yep.
on your budget
And
and heal
I,
journey.
I would like to give your listeners 50% off of my discovery session.
Oh,
So
nice.
I,
Oh, nice.
what I call a discovery session. And what that is we kind of like over a 4-week period, they will compile all of their financial things, right? I don't have access to anything. They'll compile all the numbers and things like that. And then we'll meet for a 2-hour session to see where they are, where they stand, what they were
Wow.
like, what they would like further help, one-on-one coaching, right? Or if they feel like, no, I can do it on my own, I just needed someone to help me organize it. And that is normally $500, but I'll give your listeners 50% off. They just have to make sure they mention you.
All right, y'all here. Girl, listen, Linda. Y'all heard out there, you need to get with her. It doesn't get any better than that. And thank you for doing that. Thank you for
Of course,
giving. Oh my
of course.
gosh, you are amazing. You are amazing. Well, I was planning to take a trip in September up north, right? But now
Okay.
that I have some goals and some objectives, I'm like, okay, do I feel this fun? But somehow, some way before 2024 ends, I'm making my way that way.
Oh,
And
listen,
we have got to have
of course,
dinner. Huh?
listen, I have a surprise for you. Check this out.
Okay.
I might be coming to see my dad in Florida. He lives in Sarasota.
Oh, girl, good. Yes. Then we got to connect.
Yeah.
Sarasota is on the west coast of me, but that ain't nothing but a drive. So we're going to, yes, if you do that, you please keep me in mind. Let me know. And I will meet you anywhere and we can do whatever. I just want to see you. I'm so proud of you and so glad to know you.
So much. And I also wanted to let your listeners know that I do have a book, of interactive financial literacy workbook
Yes.
called Over Leveraged: 10 Steps to Getting Out of Debt and Out of Survival Mode. Because sometimes people aren't necessarily ready to work with a one-on-one coach. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they want to see if they can do it on their own first. So they can grab my book on Amazon. Again, it is called Over Leveraged: 10 steps to getting out of debt and out of survival mode.
Okay.
And I can also be reached on Instagram at Budget and Heal. BUDGETANDHEAL. Budget
Okay.
and Heal.
Okay. That's right. That's what we're doing. We healing up in here. We healing up in
Healing.
here.
Community of healing. Yes. Yes.
Girl, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. Oh my gosh, you guys, she's got a book. She's giving you 50% off a session.
Yeah.
She's available to you. She's on Instagram. She's on the socials. And I'll
Yep.
make sure I'll put her contact information in the notes. Get with her and start your journey to get budgeting and healing.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Shakira. I am so indebted to you, and it's just such an honor to know you and to have met you. And I'm proud of you, girl. I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much.
I think we froze.
I'm proud of you for the work that you're doing also for community in real life. That
Thank
is
you.
for sure.
Thank you.
And can I just also mention before we wrap this up,
Go
how
ahead.
we haven't spoken since our last meeting, but we showed up. We didn't have to play tag. We just showed up and on integrity.
Yep. Yep.
How important it is to have integrity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so true. It's so true. Yep. Yeah. And that's half the battle. I think once you have that, you can achieve anything. So we did. We sure did. But that's because the conversation we had the first time was so rich. It was so good. I was sitting on a Zoom waiting. I was just working. I'm just waiting. Like, I'm waiting for her. Yes, whenever she gets free, come through. I'm here. So it was so good. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us today.
And thank you for having me. I had so much fun.
Yeah, you're amazing. You are amazing.
I'm coming back too. I'm coming back.
Yeah, you coming back. Yeah, we still gotta continue this conversation, especially now that I'm on my healing journey.
Yep. Yeah.
So I think we should, I will schedule something to come back and talk about, let's get deep. We want our people out there to be healed. There is a way for you to be healed and whole and set free financially, emotionally, mentally, all the things. Yes. And you got to do the work. And so you guys, I'm being transparent on my journey, letting you know that I am working on me. Yep. There are things that I need to deal with and with my money too, but with other things in my life. And hey, look, I can't help anybody else till I help myself. So definitely. So yes, we're going to do that.
Me and you guys have an amazing evening. I wish everybody blessings and peace on their debt-free journey. Do not let it overtake you. I promise there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Stay focused on God and your way will be paid for you. I promise, I promise, I promise.
I agree. Thank you so much, girl. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, lady. Have a good weekend and we'll be talking, okay?
All righty. Bye, guys.
Bye.